Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our Lichen 101 presentation, where we will be providing a guide to an incredibly diverse organism and a peek into their inner workings. Lichen are complex symbiotic life forms, primarily composed of a fungal or mycobiont outer structure and a photosynthetic or photobiont partner such as algae or cyanobacteria. They are a remarkably diverse network of organisms living mainly on or in undisturbed areas such as rocks, tree bark, moss, and soils, and even on metal. Lichens are present in many different environments and account for about 7% of the surface area of the Earth. Most lichen diversity is present in high humidity and nitrogen rich environments, but can survive and be found in locations as scarce as Arctic and desert terrain. The range of environments is made possible by absorbing nutrients from the air in many cases. Looking closer, lichen are ecosystems primarily centered around the protection of the fungus and the nutrient sharing of the photosynthetic partner. The mycobionts can be classified as a combination of Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes fungi, and the photobionts as photosynthetic algae or cyanobacteria. Other organisms and species of bacteria have also been discovered to play a role in this symbiotic ecosystem. Ascomycetes fungi, or the sac fungi, are the most common species to lichenize, forming most of the outer structure. Mycobiont refers to the fungal composition of the lichen and is typically used to classify and name the lichen species. They make up most of the lichen structure and can be thought of like a greenhouse for the photobionts, where they are protected from the environment and intense UV radiation, as well as provide storage in water and minerals. Most harsh climates are survivable by lichen through trapping early morning fog as the only moisture found in the environment. This type of lichen is dependent on service resource or obligate mutualism, where the fungus would not survive without the food produced by the photosynthetic organism, and the photobiont would not survive without protection. Basidiomycetes fungi are primarily yeasts that can be found in the upper cortex of lichen ecosystems. They are beneficial in protection of the lichen by producing chemicals that can ward off predators. These mycobionts also impact the phenotypic makeup of lichen by altering structure and morphology, such as the lichen color. If the Basidiomycetes fungus is absent, lichen cannot be recreated in the laboratory setting. They are classified as resource service or facultative mutualism, and as they can survive without a photosynthetic partner, but each will benefit from the other. The photobiont or photosynthetic symbiote in lichen is usually a eukaryotic plant or fungal organism. This is typically seen as a green algae or blue-green cyanobacteria, with many lichens composed of both types. The photosynthetic organisms are located throughout the photobiont or algal layer within the hyphae, the mycobiont's filamentous structure. The photobionts are the primary source of food for the lichen ecosystem, with their production of sugars, often from just the resources in the atmosphere. Cyanobacteria are beneficial to lichen because they are also able to fix nitrogen from their surroundings as an important nutrient contribution. Bacteria are also included in the lichen ecosystem and continue to be researched and discovered as beneficial contributors. Bacterial colonies within the lichen can be found helping with nutrient acquisition from the environment, such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and amino acids. Bacteria can be found assisting green algae with nitrogen fixation from the atmosphere, as the algae is unable to. Bacteria play a huge role in lichen surviving many of the harsher environmental elements, such as the more extreme temperatures and drought conditions. Bacteria in more nutrient-rich environments are found as more of an extension of the bacterial colonies found within the lichen's local soil.
Lichen have three major types of growth patterns. Foliose lichen have two easily distinguishable sides, like a top and a bottom. They are either flat and leafy or convoluted and bumpy. Fruticose lichen are often hair-like and stand upright, much like when electricity makes hair stand up. Croutose lichens get their name because they form a sort of crust over their substrate. This is most demonstrated as the green crusty stuff that grows on roof shingles. The term thallus refers to the lichen as a whole. Lichen thalli are split into four main layers: the cortex, the algal layer, the medulla, and the basal attachment. The cortex is the thickest part of the thallus and provides a small amount of protection and color in some species of lichen. The algal layer helps to tell what kind of algae is in the lichen. When dry, lichen is often gray or the color of the cortex cells. However, when lichen gets wet, the cortex becomes transparent and the color of the algal cells can be seen. The medulla is comprised of loosely packed fungal cells with thin cell walls. The medulla often looks like a cotton substance under the outer cortex. There are two main types of basal attachments called rhizines and holdfasts. Rhizines are fungal filaments that extend from the medulla and attach to the substrate that the lichen is on. Holdfasts are an extension of the lichen thallus and are often just one central peg that holds the lichen to the substrate. Lichens with this type of basal attachment are sometimes called umbilical lichen due to the holdfast looking like an umbilical cord. According to the U.S. Forest Service, there is no predictable way to reproduce lichen, as each is different based on the symbiotic relationship of the organisms involved. Lichen can reproduce either sexually or asexually, depending on what would give it the most benefit. Sexual reproduction often means that only the fungal partner is reproduced. The spores from said fungal partner must then find an appropriate photobiont partner to fully reproduce lichen. This method is often very unreliable, which causes lichen to favor asexual or vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction is when fragments of the thallus containing both the fungal and photobiont cells separate and grow new lichen. There are two major symbiotic vegetative propagules, or reproductive structures. Isidia are small outgrowths that stem from the thallus and are broken off by wind, water, or animals. Soredia are more like flower pollen in that they are small, powdery granules that are easily dislodged and spread by wind, water, animals, or insects.
Lichenized fungi are a good mindset to have when beginning the naming process, but gets complicated as they are a symbiotic organism and not as simple as was previously thought. Often, they are named from the mycobian species because the photosynthetic organisms are more variable within symbiotic structures. Factors that contribute to naming the lichen can be phenotypic or genotypic. Phenotypic, or the physical components such as structure, metabolites, ecological, and environmental interactions, have contributed to naming in the past, where modern lichen discoveries utilize the genetic makeup found from genotypic technology to describe and embody how diverse lichens can be. Lichen are beneficial to their local environment as they provide a food source for many animals, such as reindeer, birds, and horses, as well as invertebrates such as caterpillars and slugs. They are also found in many nests, contribute to the soil health, and, as mentioned, with the help of bacteria, in some cases are a substantial contribution to nitrogen fixation. Some species are sensitive to the environmental changes and can be used to indicate air quality and pollution as well. And now we get to us. Lichen can be beneficial to humans in many ways as well. Certain species can be found throughout history and cultures in our foods. If desperate, it can be consumed on its own for survival, but is most often used as flavoring for breads and curries, as a garnish or delicacy, or an alcohol in certain areas. Some species are often used as a bitter addition to beers and teas as well. Some fibers are strong enough to be used to create clothing, where others are bright enough to be used as dyes. Lichens can also be found in holistic medicine for their antimicrobial and antioxidant properties. Cosmetics, deodorants, and toothpaste are also incorporating lichen extracts in their ingredient lists.
As we come to the end of our lecture, it's important to remember that many ecosystems would not exist without the help of lichen. Lichen can serve as a food source, a habitat or habitat builder, and a protector from the elements. They also have great benefit to humans through their antibiotic and hygienic properties. Thanks for watching with us, and we'll see you guys next time.